I showed you on this channel already so many things you can do with AI that is actually useful, and how we organize everything using just a local folder and Claude. And today I will show you something I've been thinking about for, well, a whole year, to how to best work with AI. So whatever it creates for me, I don't have to sit in a session to keep control of it, keep tracking what it's doing, and then follow up the chat and then go through the chat and find the things, and all this is confusing. And in order to compensate that and make it clearer if I work on different things in parallel, inside our folder, I have already a deliverables folder. In this one, the AI will create subfolders, and this will contain any things that we create, like images, reports, diagrams, whatever that you generate with AI will land there. But this is obviously messy, okay? So this is a demo folder I'm showing here. That's not my real work, but I will show you my real work in a moment. The thing is, at least I have a single source of truth where I find the work in progress stuff from AI. Now, if you're working with Cowork, you will have a long chat again, and they at least organize this on the side, progress and outputs, and then you have here the context and skills. But the thing is, this is still not enough to me. I can comment on these things, that's great, and I can follow up on things. So that's a minimalistic UI that goes into the right direction, but it is still not enough for me to keep control of very complex tasks that I'm working on with AI. And in Code, we also have some ways to look into this a bit more. We have artifacts section, and then we have a background task where I see an overview of the things that ran and all these things. But again, to me, this is living inside an app that I have no control over, and I wanted to customize it to properly work with AI, but with any AI. And that's the point about this local folder approach that we have. It has all the instructions how AI should work, and I can point anything at this folder, no matter if it is Claude or later on Codex or Gemini or any other model that you want to use. It will still work inside this folder, and I made many videos about how this works in the past. This video today is all about how I work with AI to keep track of the things that we've been working on and make it much more efficient to work asynchronously, so I can actually follow up on decisions that I have to take without the need to sit on my computer all the time, because I think that's a big time sink, and that makes you less productive sitting at the computer waiting for the AI to reply and then follow up in chat. It's just annoying for me. All right, so the way we can work, as I showed previously, we can open up this folder inside Cowork or inside Claude Code, and we can perfectly work in there. What I prefer to do is using the terminal. If you're new to this, don't be scared. It's very straightforward using the terminal, because in fact it's just an interface that it is not as fancy as the Claude desktop application, but it works the same way. So I can, who are you? And he says, I'm Larry, your team orchestrator, and he says this because I launched this session inside the folder the same way as if I would open this inside Claude desktop, and it would say the same thing. So the way I prefer to work is using VS Code. VS Code is a free application that was used by coders in the past. I'm a non-coder, so all you see here was just built by me talking to my PKA and the agents that I have in here. So you can download this folder for free inside the membership and get started building something that I show you later in the video yourself. And I do this by using VS Studio Code. So you can download this for free, and it's an IDE as it is called, and it looks more complicated than it is. So what I have here, it's again a terminal session that I launched Claude in. So when we go to top, so you see here there's Claude working in there. You can even launch a nicer version of Claude in here too, but I prefer the raw version because I can style it the way I want it, and that's called a harness. Okay, so it's running inside a specific harness that's provided by Claude, and the Claude model is running inside this harness, and I can adjust it because instead of having the long form chat inside Claude desktop, I started then to introduce things like this, okay, summaries that are visually represented by emojis, or when I have to make a decision to give me a short code snippet, ask me what decision I should decide on, and I was able then to follow up later, because the thing is I kept scrolling and different things and missing out, and therefore I had now these decisions. And that's something, if you go to the AI Enhancement Hub inside the My ICOR application, there you have these prompts that you can copy paste, and that's the one here, that's the decision warning system, and AI will just set this up for you so you can have these things appearing too. To me, it was a visual indicator instead of a wall of text where there were hidden decisions in there that I had to make. I was now visually seeing what I need to decide on to unblock the AI to keep working. And as there are also sub-agents working, many things going on in parallel, I lost more and more track of all the things that I decided on and was going on throughout the thing. So it came back now with these summaries as well, where I was able now to see this in a more narrow version, easy to digest now, to go through these things that showed me then, the ask and what answered and so on, all right? So this was working fine, but as you can see, I have several sessions open there, and I keep them often open several days because there's much more complex work going on that just, create my diagram or report that might need several days to work on. So I'm forced to actually have several sessions working on, and I keep track of this by having the deliverables folder, okay? Here's the deliverables folder. It's the same thing that you saw on the desktop, but this is my personal one now. And you see there are still a lot of deliverables open from the past days that are not completed yet. And if you open up the archive, you see all the things that I worked on for months before, okay, all the way back to February, and then I introduced the deliverables folder, and that's where I kept working. So all the things are there to have a track record of the things. Maybe I need to look up something later and so on. So the beautiful thing that we always say is that these folders are perfect because I can open up any of these, click on them and read the content. I have covers and I look at this, okay, I can review it this way, but it is again a folder structure. I don't know what to look at. I need to read what AI is asking me inside the chat, and then I always have to look up, okay, what is asked in the chat? Where do I find this in the deliverables? Find the deliverable. Obviously, I can ask AI to open it for me and show it. And that's what I did. I told AI, create a HTML page, open it up in Chrome, show it to me. All right. So there are examples like this trend hop, for example. I can open this in the browser and it looks like this. This is the folder that you see here. That's the HTML. I double click, it opens up in Chrome, and now I can read the report, and it's much more visually pleasing, but it's still a lot to consume. And the issue is there's no way to act on it. If I saw anything that I thought is interesting, I can copy paste this back into the chat, but then I have to follow up. I always need to explain myself what this is all about. And this is a lot of back and forth that consumes so much time, in my opinion, and it's such a waste of time. And that's why I went the next step forward. Well, I was building on this over months, different iterations. It's not something that I worked on for a year and now I completed my work. It is an iteration going through many different versions of how I could integrate this to work better with AI, but still using just a local folder and keep everything accessible as we have it in here, right? So I don't want to have a proper application in this sense that is on the web and use database or whatnot and build complex things. I wanted to have everything integrated. And this is my solution here. And this is what I came up with. And this is work in progress, but I wanted to share the work in progress with you. I'm happy to get your feedback in the comments, what you think about this. And be sure this is just one part of a much bigger release that we will do later, but here is one of the essential parts of what this will contain. And again, all this was built just using this local folder. And as you can see here, this is actually the session I worked on inside my own PKA folder to build this. Okay, so you can do this yourself if you invested time, if you know the structure and all this. If you want to skip ahead with the time, bear with me because this will become available for our inner circle members soon too. So what is this? This is the list of deliverables, and you see it's already presented completely different than the folders that we saw previously. Here I have images. If I hover, I get additional information, what is going on. I see things that are waiting on me. I see there are two open, on this one for example, there are two open decisions I have to make. If I click on it, this is the context, okay? That's a video I'm working on, and there's a script for the video, and here's the script, and that's the thing, okay? I wanted to review a script, and there was always back and forth. There was no way to edit things because it was inside the chat or inside the deliverables folder, and if I made edits, it was not tracked. This changed now because I have here an update section. You see this, it shows what was worked on. I see an audit trail, what changed inside the deliverables, and if there's any media, we get to this, it will show here too. And here are the decisions, so I can close this one. Now I have only focus on this one deliverable I'm working on, and here it asks me about certain things it needs feedback on about this. It's direct context to this. I also see there's one that I already answered, and I can even create notes for AI to follow up later. So you see that becomes very complex, and yet I can act on anything on this deliverable. So this goes much further because many times it's confusing what AI actually wants. I want to explain it more, but then many things go in parallel and it's messed up, okay? So I can go into focus mode and I see what I need to do here. And then I can call Larry, my orchestrator, and you see it's opening up here.
Hey Tom, I'm looking at video. I used Claude Cowork.
Yeah, so I'm on the decision C1X. Can you explain a bit more about what I need to decide on this?
Script.md. The HTML.
All right, I stopped this here because I know what this is all about. And the thing is, you see, I am able to talk to Larry, my orchestrator, who has the understanding of what is going on and give me more context. Now, where is this now? Well, if you scroll down, here's the core recordings. So even the recording, what we talked about, ends up on this deliverable. So there's even more context available for AI later on to catch up. Even if I lose any live session inside the terminal, it's still able to pick up where we left off because it has all this context and only this context, so it knows where to work on. And now you see here the trail, you see there was a call, everything is tracked, and again, it's all running in this local folder. There's no external database or anything. That's not a web application, it's just accessing my local folder. And I will show you in a moment how this works behind the scenes and how it's possible to make this work. But you see, now I have a complete different way to progress through the things. I can add a comment to the decision, and I can agree on something that is recommended, or I don't agree, or I want to work on this later. And I even can say decide all, which just opens up all the open decisions that I can walk through. So here's the decision I have to make, and here's the context of the deliverable, there's the title of the deliverable, and again I can just call Larry if I'm unsure what this is all about to catch me up or give me a different perspective quickly. Instead of writing and instantly, as you have seen, he directly responds instead of writing it into the terminal, waiting for a reply, and have something mid-session talking about that messes the whole flow up. So I have different threads and I have different focus on what I can discuss, and it makes it also for AI later on much easier to understand what this is all about we are talking here. I want to show you another example because I push this a lot further. So if we go, for example, to this incline diagrams, okay, especially if AI generates for me images, this is really interesting for me to review. So the goal here in this deliverable was to convert images that I generated with AI, in this case ChatGPT, but also Nano Banana, all these things. Instead of using an AI image generator, I wanted to use just code so that AI or Claude uses just code to create these images instead of using expensive tokens on any image generators, because what I wanted to have are these, images like this. They are very simplistic, and I thought this is possible through code, and this is the proof of concept. That's the deliverable. What's this all about? So just so you get an understanding what you're looking at here, and here I want to show you more details what happens when I start working on these things. You see here on the side already the update panel where you see the crew. Okay, I see the agents who worked on this, how many times a session ran with different agents working on my deliverable. I see an audit trail where they write down what they did and what they changed and the decisions they made. And this is all instantly. So where does this happen? Currently, it still happens inside a terminal that I talk to. This would also work in Cowork and in Claude Code on a Claude desktop, because again, it's just manipulating your folder locally, and these updates get just represented this way on the browser. That's it. It's just looking into the folder and gives me me now these numbers, and there are instructions for what it needs to keep track of for me to have the most information. I have a media panel. I see all the media that got generated. I have the audit trail, as I said, but here I have also a timeline of the things. If I click, I see exactly what happened on this timeline and how things moved forward. And I can even open up all these things to see all the different steps in the timeline. This is here the explanation of what's going on, where it's standing. It updates this live. Whenever I change things, it's updating this. And the goal was to give me a comparison of the AI generated image versus the end version that is generated via code. And you see here, for example, I click on it. It perfectly now replicates my AI generated image with just using code. That's so much cheaper than generating this via AI. And it's much more flexible because now I can animate these things and build them up and many things. Nothing for this video, but that's now possible with this. That's why I was so keen about it. But I want to show you this because you see on top already there is a draw, and I can actually click on this and start drawing and mentioning things, you know, like this. And you see 4 strokes attached. I can now add a comment, and now I can save the comment. And this is the follow-up comment with this context drawn on the image. And this is insane because now I can directly comment on the image and then it's sitting there. So how does this work? Next time AI picks up the changes and it just works through the comments and decisions that I made and starts working on it and then comes back with new instructions. So it's really an asynchronous work, but I can be sure that I can just work through everything that is open and then keep moving forward. But I have the full context available all the time. You see, for example, this one. So the previous one didn't look correct, and I can now resolve this comment, and that's it. There are no open comments anymore. So I also told it to make a video out of it, and here you go. It's an empty thing, but if you click on it, it's an actual video, and you see everything is animated. That's out of my inbox, and nothing leaves without a decision. So you see that's fully animated, and you know it's perfectly working now. So now the beauty here with video is I can annotate the video too. So you see there's 1 stroke attached at this timestamp, and now I can add a comment here and save the comment at this timestamp, which tells AI, look at this specific frame and then read my comment because there we need to change something. And that's amazing because this is how I can perfectly now explain going through all the different deliverables and check out what we are at and what needs to be changed. Here again, you see there are open decisions for me. And yeah, that's what this is all about. I can even ask the team, which opens a new deliverable. In fact, it goes into the team inbox. For those who don't know about my PKA, if you go into the folder, we have the deliverables where we see the output of the AI that we are working with. But there's also a team inbox, so I can throw anything in here that the team should look at, and it picks it up from there. And that's again, this structure and instructions that we already have in place, I'm leveraging now here to actually create new tasks, and it just ends up in a team inbox for AI being picked up later. Something that will come to this that I want to have is also the live session. So there's actually an ongoing thread of a conversation that is over all the thing. As you can see, it tracks already the session IDs that are local. But before we go on, I want to show you something else. Again, you remember the thing that I showed you previously is that I wanted to comment directly on something that I see right now the moment I see it. So in this case, I can just select and comment, and I leave a comment on this section. Or this thing on the side, you can just, you know, hover over it and click on it. And now I'm commenting on this specific section. And it knows it by the HTML element in order to work on this. So this is also an amazing way now for me to just say, well, I disagree on this one and I can comment on this. Another thing is, let's see if there's anything in this one. No. But here you see down there are additional files that are relevant for this deliverable. And I can click on it and it opens up this MD file in a formatted way for me to review if I want to, and even to comment on too, and no matter what it is. Also here a txt file and so on. So that's the supportive information. And here's what I requested in the beginning, and I shared in the beginning just 2 references they should look at, which is this one that was AI generated, to use to create these images. So that's one example of many, because you see there are all these open deliverables that I showed you already in VS Code, and I now just by the images instantly know what this is all about and what to look at. And going back to this video I want to show you here, I can actually go now directly in here and make changes, and those changes are again tracked. I'm not doing it right now, but those are tracked in the audit trail, so AI knows that I changed something. I can even add additional content in between, and I can obviously also select and comment on specific parts. But previously I only was able to select and then comment at best, but not manipulate the content that was produced by AI. And now we are really collaborating on these outcomes directly without ever opening or searching anything inside this folder and try to find it there. So very quickly in the end I want to show you how all this works behind the scenes. So we had the deliverables inbox, and in there it created these folders already where we had the outcome, all right? The image that I was asked for, the script I was asking for, many things. And now it created a new thing. So that's obviously not my own, that's the demo one that doesn't contain this yet. But here we go. Here's the SVG only incline diagrams, no image model. Okay, again, let's open this in comparison. This is the one that we just had open here. Okay, so finding this in this list is already tedious, but then opening it up and trying now to find these images, you know, like here, and then make sense of it. What is the latest version? Because you see all the images are here. Everything is in this local folder for me to review, and previously it was pointing me at these images and ask me questions. And if I didn't follow up or the session broke down, I lost this context. No more, because each folder is now structured this way. It has a canvas.json, which in fact is just holding in a conversation that I had previously, the decisions made, all this. This is where it gets updated live in here. There's a brief. When a new session starts inside a folder, it knows where to look at, what this is all about, this specific folder. So I'm leveraging this Claude.md approach, the file that is usually inside a folder explaining AI what this is all about. In each deliverable there is such file for each the different things that got decided. And here we see the examples, we see the decisions all made also in markdown. So you see the decisions I made are also showing in markdown, all readable. And this is about it. So the tool itself that I built is living here in this expansions folder. I have here the session canvas, and this is the tool that you just saw. And I'm literally opening up this folder on video here for the first time. I didn't look at it at all. I just talked to AI to keep building this and to refining things. And the more experience you have with building apps this way, the better you know how to do these things. But it makes no sense to me, you know, to go in there and check any files. But this is the thing that is running, okay? So you see it's all working inside this one folder, in the expansion folder. I have this tiny app that it created that now just pulls the data from my deliverables and serves it on the front end in a browser this way. It maybe looks a lot more polished because I'm training my team for, well, nearly a year now to learn how to code, what design, branding, all these things are set in our inside this team knowledge, you know, guidelines, SOPs, and all these things. Again, I didn't write these instructions for AI. AI did it for itself based on the work that we did together in the past. It keeps improving itself over and over. And that's the big difference. If you're using a chatbot, you will never reach this point that I'm showing you here on this level. But also using this local folder approach, it keeps you completely independent. The only thing you need to back up is this folder to be sure that you don't lose the things, but you point any AI on this and it will work out of the box because it understands the content of this folder. And that's what we provide for free. It's this basic scaffold that explains AI how this folder works, and you can start working out of the box. I made many videos about this. If you haven't watched it yet, I recommend you to watch this one next. And if you want to see what the end result of my building here is and how you can access it, subscribe to the channel so I can catch you up in the next video, or join us for free inside my ICOR, where you stay up to date about all these new releases too. So I see you over there.